David Skaats Foster was an American writer and coal and iron merchant. He was born in 1852 in Utica, New York, the son of Thomas Foster, also a merchant in Utica, and Eliza P. Skaats. In 1874 he married Mary C. Williams, the pair having 2 sons. He died in 1920. Foster wrote a total of 12 books, the first 2, The Romance of the Unexpected and Rebecca the Witch, being poetry. In 1899 he published Prince Timoteo, which we shall cover today. The story is presented as an untrustworthy statement by American doctor and mountain climber Timothy Lawrence. So much so that there are obvious discrepancies in the text the narrator loves to point out. Nevertheless, what is there is good, despite these hints of possible untruthfulness. In short, an Italian account mentions to Dr. Lawrence a certain inaccessible mountain in Italy, in the midst of a lake. Lawrence at once taking on the Count's bet that he will be able to scale it. Undaunted, he uses his own special gear, with which he hopes to make the summit in a few hours. But then someone lowers him a rope. Being dragged up, the first thing his mysterious aide asks him, while Lawrence is still in midair, is if he really is the prince. Saying yes as a matter of policy, he is hauled up and faces an old man in 15th century peasant dress. The man says he is Jacopo, his old servant, and that Lawrence is Prince Timoteo, sole heir of the House of Pazzi, and its claim to rulership of Firenzaliano. The old man reminds him that his father had sent him out into the outside world for his own safety from enemies of his house, and that Jacopo lowered the rope on this same day every year, that he may come back when he chose to. Lawrence simply nods his head amazed, as he soon realizes he is within a community of Italians whose ancestors had been exiled from Florence during the reign of Lorenzo the Magnificent. These people had been isolated from the outside world since 1492, and thus had remained a medieval society. This due to the small island they had inhabited being shot up into the air by an earthquake in the year 1492, which the inhabitants of little Florence or Firenzaliano consider to have been the end of the world, for all intents and purposes. Lawrence, i.e. Timoteo, is taken to see his dying father, Lord Arnolfo, but is too late, for which he is grateful. Immediately taking charge of the Pazzi fortune, he is invited by Jacopo to come watch the burning to death of a monk for blasphemy, an event everyone is excited to witness to alleviate their boredom. Jacopo explains further how the government of Firenzaliano, fashioned as a diminished but exact replica of 15th century Florence, is constantly being overthrown, and how the 48th such revolution deposed his grandfather as prince, and having replaced him with a duke from the house of Urbisi. Lawrence then saves the monk Ambrose from being burned to death, but the man is ungrateful and keeps imposing on him, even when Lawrence sneaks into a masked ball at the Urbisi palace. While there, he falls in love with Ippolita, the duke's daughter, who is a sadistic piece of work, practicing bowstringing people, ordering others to receive lashes for her amusement, and later, when the two are besieged by brigands at Pazzi Castle, pouring hot lead on people's heads, and delighting in all such manner of butchery. At one point she commits mass murder with delightful jubilation that is wonderful to read. Lawrence himself fully excuses this in her, and does rather well in hacking people to bits when he must protect her, hiding behind a fort made of corpses. A game of hide and seek the two play to finish off Ippolita's victims, and Lawrence casually tossing a man his own severed hand because he may want it, are all a cruel delicious delight. The story ends after some more murders, another uprising, dealing with Ambrose and all his crimes, and a cataclysm averted from our heroes only by the aid of a stolen holy shinbone.